This entitled mum has decided she wants to ruin everyone's fun at a corn maze. What crazy demands does she put on everyone? And will she get away with it? Happy birthday if today's your birthday, and on with the revamped show. The background. I rent a small office space that is connected to a much larger consignment and antique store. My business has no relationship with the larger store and has its own entrance from the front sidewalk. Due to the size of the space, I do not have my own break room or restroom, and I use the store's employee area. At the rear of my space, there is a door that opens into the hallway leading to the employee area. This hallway is visible from the front desk checkout counter, and thus our story starts. This I don't work here lady happened last Tuesday. It was lunchtime, and I opened the rear hallway door and was headed to the employee break room when I heard a woman ranting at the sales associate at the front desk. There was me, store manager, sales associate, and crazy Karen.
I demand to speak with the manager now.
My manager's out at lunch right now and will be back in a few minutes. She then saw me in the hallway and pointed at me.
You! I need you over here now!
I'm sorry, I don't work here. I rent the space next door.
Bullcrap! You just don't want to deal with customers! Now get over here and do your job!
I really don't work here, sorry. I paused in the hallway to watch as this was getting good. It was at this point the store manager returned and approached CK at the counter.
Ma'am, can I help you? I am the store manager.
CK looked her up and down and yelled,
I want a manager? Manager?
Making it a point to emphasize the word man.
Ma'am, I can assure you I am the store manager and can help you.
Bullcrap! I see your manager over there!
Pointing at me.
And I want him! I want a manager! I want a manager!
Ma'am, I'm the store manager and the only one who can help you. If you continue to raise a disturbance, I will insist you leave.
At this point, Crazy Karen threw her hands up in the air and walked around the counter and proceeded towards me in the hallway.
You are a man, and you must be the manager, and I demand you help me.
I have already told you that I don't work here, and I rent the space next door. I'm just back here to use the break room, as I don't have one in my office space.
Bullcrap! Why the heck are you wearing a suit then? Why? If you are not the manager, then why are you dressed as one? Why?
I am done with you. The store manager has offered to help you, and you are too dense to listen. Listen to my words carefully. I don't work here. This just sent off Crazy Karen more, and she proceeded to scream more obscenities and ranted as she stormed out about how she was going to tell everyone she knew to never shop at this store again. After she was gone, I asked the store associate what this was all about. Apparently the woman was interested in a dining room table that only had 6 matching chairs, and she needed 8. The table was on consignment, and the sales associate was explaining that they did not have any more, nor could they order them as they don't know who the manufacturer was, or even if the manufacturer was still in business. She had the names of a couple local carpenters who could make similar chairs, but they would likely not match 100%. This apparently was not an acceptable answer. So it sounds like Crazy Karen was a big hassle right from the start. A normal person at that point would be like, well, I did want 8, but I guess that's that. It's like they can't take no for an answer. I don't know if their whole life they've just been given whatever it is that they want. And so when somebody's like, this is not possible, their mind can't compute that. And they start to rage, get emotional, and go crazy. Not too much harm was done for the hero of our story, so it sounds like he just got a really good show. My sister is getting married next year, and myself and our younger sister are the bridesmaids. Last month we, along with our mother, went shopping for dresses on a day we had plans to attend an event in the building next door to my office. I would go to work as normal, as would bride's sister. Then once she had finished, early morning shift until 10:30 AM, she would drive into the city with my other sister and mother, and I would finish on a half day and meet them. As a rule, we decided that younger sister would try dresses on, and then when we had narrowed down what looked good on her, I would then try on from the narrowed down section due to my disability, as I struggle with some movements which cause pain. It's important to note here that I look fine, and you wouldn't know unless told. So on the day in question, I left work and walked across the city to the department store and met up with them. We headed to the ladies section and pulled around 10 dresses that fit the style we had discussed, then headed off to the fitting room to see what we liked actually on the body. The fitting rooms were surprisingly busy for a Friday lunchtime, but not overwhelmingly so. we were directed towards a free cubicle, maybe 10 doors down the hall, after a short wait. Now, as this fitting room was usually lesser used, they stored a few wheeled clothes rails in the hallway against the wall, and luckily for us, we had an empty clothing rail in the hallway opposite the door. I say luckily since long formal dresses can be super heavy, and we had around 10 of them to try, so we hung the dresses on the rail to pass in one at a time. As each dress was tried, we would then hand her a new one, and she would pass out the previous reject for us to put back on the hanger. We then hung it up and segregated into 2 groups, absolutely no way, and we'll see how they look on OP and go from there. So there was Mum, my sister, and myself in a line outside one particular door. 10 doors in, nowhere near the fitting room exit, and in walks our Karen. About 60, a short bob that wasn't quite the typical Karen cut, and a skinny little thing. She came out of the fitting room 2 down from us, closer to the exit, with around 5 hangers and a bundle of clothes, not on said hangers. She looks towards the exit, which is busy, with a couple of frantic sales girls rehanging a pile of unhung clothes. Seriously, why people feel they have to screw things up in a ball to hand them in? If they don't fit or flatter is beyond me. And then back to me standing, hanging a dress on a virtually empty rail. Back to the sales girls in their all black outfits. Back to me in my black and blue polka dot dress and a floral raincoat. And walks towards me and thrusts the ball of clothes at me. I automatically took them, then thrust them back at her. She shoved them at me. I pushed them back. On the 3rd attempt to push them into my hands, I moved them out of the way, so the clothes fell on the floor. Why did you do that? I don't want these things. Neither do I. But you work here. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. You are wearing a lanyard. You must work here. The people who work here wear name badges, not lanyards. I don't work here. Well, you're hanging things up for these people. Points at my family. I'm with these people. That's my mother. And she taught me 2 things. 1, we hang up clothes if we don't want them because it's good manners. And 2, it's rude to point. At this point, Karen actually looks at my family, who are all watching this exchange incredulously, and sees that my mother is my double, plus 20 years, and my sister and I could pass for my triplets if not for the fact older sister has purple hair and younger sister's is currently dyed green, pink and purple. Mine is left natural, and goes red and bends down to pick up the clothes that are still at my feet. Aren't you going to at least help me? Nope. You're a very rude young lady. And you're a very rude old lady. I just stood there while she scrabbled to pick them up, thinking she's been told. If she knows what's good for her, she'll shut up and move on. But nope. She had to try and get the last word. Clearly your mother should have taught you some manners. Excuse me? You were the one who rudely interrupted us. And you were the one who shoved your screwed up reject clothes at my daughter, which ultimately caused them to end up on the floor in the first place. You are the one who needs to learn some manners before you question my parenting skills. She should still help. I can't help. Why not? I am disabled. No, you aren't. Family as one, clearly done with Karen's BS. Yes, she is. Now this had been going on for a while. And finally, the sales girls who actually worked there had noticed that Karen was harassing us and headed over to see what was going on. Ladies, is everything alright? No, this rude girl knocked my clothes out of my hand and now won't help pick them up and is lying about being disabled. Don't lie. You assumed she worked here, dropped them on the floor when she didn't take them, and have been stood here being very rude ever since. Just get your stuff and go. Ma'am, I think it's best if you just go. I will pick them up. Just go. And with that, she dropped the whole lot back on the floor and stormed out. It does make me wonder, has anyone ever gone up to a real employee, asked for help, and they said, nah, I don't work here, just because they didn't feel like helping? The way that so many of these Karens respond, it's as if they're acting like it's a normal thing for employees to lie that they don't work there. For most employees, there is some sort of uniform that identifies them as a worker, so it's kinda hard to lie and say you don't work there when you're literally wearing the badge. Maybe the Karen of our story is the sort of person that would do that. If she just didn't feel like helping someone, she'd be like, yeah, I don't work here, sorry. And so her assumption is, well, other people must be doing it too, right? Yeah, maybe not everyone's as crazy as you. The backstory. When I was 16, straight out of school, I got a job at a boarding kennel, where you send your pooch when you go on holiday. This place was owned by a vet who had her own breeding collection of Weimaraner's. There were at least 20 of them at any time, depending on how many had pups. I should have realized when I went for the interview that the manager was insane. If I hadn't been so excited about getting my first proper job, I'd have run a mile. During the interview, the manager gave me a list of things to say to people who called with questions about the care of the dogs. These included, the dogs all get individual kennels unless specifically requested, that is to say, if you have 2 dogs that live together and you want them to share. The dogs all get walked every day. If you bring your dog's own preferred food, we will feed it to your dog. Otherwise, we will use good brand dry food. At the interview, the manager actually told me we don't walk the dogs ever, they just get let out in the walkway, the corridor that led to the kennel's individual entrances, if there's time. That should have been the point I left. The hours were long, 6 AM till 10 PM many days. The work was physically hard, moving sacks of dry food, bending over to pick poop from 36 kennels 3 times a day, and carrying the full poop bucket to the drain to wash away. Carrying 36 soiled vet beds every day to the laundry and hanging them out to drip dry. Feeding all the holiday dogs with the same generic dry food. Then doing all of the above for the breeding dogs and feeding and milking the 2 resident goats. Yes, goats. Twice a day. Along with hosing and disinfecting the whole area twice a day, about an acre of concrete. Getting from wherever we were to the office in time to answer the phone. Taking bookings and doing paperwork. Picking up broken glass by hand into buckets. From the private woodland area where the resident dogs were allowed, but not the boarders. And much more. The last bus that ran from Worktown to Hometown left at 9:50 PM. So many nights I ended up walking the 8 miles home. Most mornings there was a list of arrivals on the desk in the office and instructions on where to put them, along with a few extra tasks to be performed that day. Also a flashing light on the answering machine with people requiring callbacks to make bookings. I was usually the first to arrive, so after checking that all the dogs had water and were okay, I would get on with writing the messages down for the manager when she got in. By the time I'd done this, coworker and lazy coworker had usually arrived. Coworker would let me know she was there and ready to start work, and lazy coworker would be in the break area having a cigarette and a coffee. Me and coworker would go and shut all the dogs out in their individual outside areas, clean the inside of the kennels, and open the trapdoors to feed them. Sometimes there were 2 dogs in one kennel who didn't live together or even really know each other, despite the individual kennel thing that people were told. So one got fed inside and the other outside. Lazy coworker would refill all the water bowls, while me and coworker then went to see to the resident dogs. This scenario went on for several weeks, with crazy manager, who was scared of dogs, turned up for a couple of hours a day to cover lunch times. One day there was a note on the desk asking me to renew her library books. Who knew that was in my job description? I did, but had to pay a late fine for her out of my own pocket. There were many other instances of her asking me to do her personal errands, and for a while, I did them without complaining. One Monday morning, CM was at the desk when I arrived.
Morning, you're late.
Nobody else was there yet as it was 5:50 AM. Morning, CM. I don't start till 6.
I need to tell you something, but you're not allowed to tell coworker or lazy coworker.
Oh, okay. Go on, tell me. Getting a little excited as I may be getting a promotion.
I'm going to fire lazy coworker at the end of the week.
Oh, wow. I can't believe you told me that.
Remember, don't say anything.
Okay. Coworker and lazy coworker arrive and we're cleaning the kennel. CM told me she's going to fire you at the end of the week, lazy coworker. I'm sorry. She told me not to say anything, but she had no right to put me in that position. So I just thought I'd warn you.
I can't believe she did that to you both. Joke's on her. I was quitting on Friday anyways. I was going to leave here at the end of the month. We're trying for a baby and working here is not good for it. CM, I quit.
Well, okay, that saves me firing lazy coworker.
Coworker walks away.
I quit too.
No, really? I'd like to see you get another job.
Lazy coworker walks away. I didn't agree with not telling lazy coworker. You really put me on the spot. I quit too.
You can't do that.
I don't have a contract.
You can't leave. Who's going to see to the dogs?
You?
I can't. You have to stay until I hire someone else at least.
Nope. Walks out of the office, leaving the door to swing. We all went back at about the same time on the Thursday to collect our final pay packets. I was the last one there, and the other two were just leaving. As I got out of my dad's car, he'd given me a lift. CM opened the office door and yelled across the yard at me to pick up that cardboard box and put it in the skip. You should have done it yesterday. This was a massive box about 6 foot and 5 foot, and me being 5'3" could not have lifted it alone. I don't work here. I just came to collect my wages. I went into the office, picked up my pay packet, and got back in the car, leaving CM with her mouth flapping like a fish. Not only does that sound like a bit of a nightmare job, I guess if you really loved animals and didn't mind the sort of high stress situations like that and the long hours, but even if maybe you enjoy that kind of job, having to deal with a manager like that would be less enjoyable than peeling your fingernails off. And what was the point of her telling the hero of the story that she was about to fire someone? Was it to make her feel scared about her own job? I mean, she basically treated her like an employee even when she quit. So I wonder if that's just the way she thought she could treat people. This happened like years ago in summer, so please forgive my vagueness or not the whole story. Background: I'm an awkward 14-year-old coming home from my summer camp, donned in a pathetically tie-dyed shirt, pink shorts, and Crocs. Fashion icon. I didn't think I looked like a worker at all, but I guess not. Here at the said corn maze, there is a racetrack with car or bike things. Either way, most kids don't put away these carts, so my being bored out of my mind wrongly clean up said carts. This, however, summoned an entitled mum. I had just put the last cart in its place and was preparing to leave when I hear the voice of a Karen.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Where do you think you're going?
What do you mean?
You can't just leave like that.
Me entirely confused. EM then lectures me on how leaving my post was wrong, and I needed to be more vigilant at my job. I don't work here?
Mommy, I want to play with the cards. You're upsetting my kid. Don't you dare lie to me. You work here, or else why were you cleaning up the bikes?
She said this smugly like she had just beaten me. I was bored, plus it was bugging me. I should go. I tried to leave. I did. But as it goes, she grabbed me. Hey, what are you doing?
You are such a disgrace to this place. Leaving your post. I'm making sure you don't lose your job.
EK trying to race around and hits the fence.
Mommy! EK, my angel!
She lets go and I run, like book it into the corn. Time skip to later. I am now at the gift shop.
You!
She Walmart waddles towards me, angry as heck.
I want to see your manager.
Me, done. Listen, I don't work here.
Liar. I'm taking you to your manager.
Am I wearing the uniform? No, I'm wearing a tie-dye shirt and Crocs. I don't work here. I'm practically a kid. EM dumbfounded that someone would cut her off. M pulls up in a golf cart and enters the scene. Is everything okay?
I want that bleep fired. They left their post and hurt EK.
EK starts to cry. Like on cue, she said hurt and boom, tears. Honestly scary.
Yeah, I fell over.
M looks over at me and in a sarcastic voice, "Oh, you work here? I didn't know that was the new uniform." I don't know why she thinks I work here. Miss, please leave this child alone. They don't work here, and if you keep this up, you will leave this place. EM shook.
But I want them fired?
EK already completely healed from the tears earlier.
Mommy, I want to see pigs.
EM just kind of blindly follows her kid. Thanks and bye. I was confused. This was like my first ever real EP. It's Jill. He golf carts away. I later saw EM yelling at M for A, not firing me, B, not letting her tired son ride in the golf cart. Yeah, corn mazes are weird. Also, she did get kicked out. Yeah, turns out trying to steal a pig isn't good for your case. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.